Well, the final hurdle to delivering lower interest rates has been cleared. Today's numbers showed price pressures in the economy have eased considerably, and a rate cut after next week's Reserve Bank board meeting appears a mere formality. And price deflation was a feature of today's third quarter sales results from Australia's biggest retailer, Wesfarmers. The Coles supermarket owner continued to gain ground on its major rival, Woolworths. Here's Philip Lasker.
The signs are everywhere and the numbers confirm it.
There has been very little to no inflation pressure in the Australian economy in the last 6 months.
The quarterly increase in prices was one of the smallest in 3 years, and Australia's annual inflation rate has halved to a 2.5-year low.
These figures are very welcome and they're very encouraging. They give us a very healthy combination when it comes to our strong economic fundamentals.
Fruit prices plunged as the impact of the Queensland floods continued unwinding, while the strong Australian dollar and weak spending combined to keep a lid on travel costs and prices for electronics. Necessities like health and education costs saw the biggest rises. Overall, inflation is now tracking below the Reserve Bank's expectations, clearing the way for this year's first interest rate cut. Overall, inflation is now tracking below the Reserve Bank's expectations. Underlying inflation rose modestly in the March quarter and is now 2.1%.
Underlying inflation in yearly terms is very close to the bottom of the Reserve Bank's target band, and in yearly terms is actually the lowest it's ever been from the revised data, which goes back to 2003. If the Reserve Bank wants to get ahead of the inflation curve, it really should cut by 50 basis points.
The housing lobby sees a 50 basis point cut as necessary.
I think the pulse of the non-resource sectors of the Australian economies are running considerably slower than policymakers anticipated.
Wesfarmers supermarket division Coles reported a slowdown in third quarter sales,
with fresh produce deflation contributing around 2/3 the overall deflation result. Very high levels of fresh produce deflation occurred, as I previously mentioned, as we cycled last year's flood-affected shortages compared to abundant supply this year.
Prices of fruit and vegetables fell 25%, and a price war with its rival Woolworths also took its toll. It all points to further rate cuts, which can't come soon enough for the federal opposition leader.
Should the Reserve Bank lower interest rates today, that will be welcomed.
But the RBA board doesn't meet today.
We all make mistakes, but when you want to be the alternative Prime Minister of Australia, interest rates is just such an important issue. And the Reserve Bank board has been meeting on the second Tuesday of the month since 1960.
It seems financial services ministers aren't aware it's the first Tuesday of the month either.
Two of our leading policymakers ending Phil's report there.